Justice League begins with a raid on the Central Criminal Court of England and Wales in what is actually a magic spell by none other than Roose Bolton to conjure the ancient gods and rebuild our world. This spell comes true in the most fantastic way possible with the arrival of the goddess Wonder Woman, who we see here standing atop a statue of justice with no blindfold. And whose forehead bears a V-shaped sigil almost identical to the one on the van the villains arrive in.
What are you?
A believer.
And that feels like the perfect place to start this video. I saw Thor Ragnarok a week before Justice League and I was astonished. Not just because of what an amazing film this is, arguably the best of the Marvel Universe movies, but also by the realization that this would be a direct continuation of the syncwave that I've been writing. Before seeing Thor and Justice League, I just completed a series of videos related to Halloween, magic, and synchronicities, culminating in a video about the similarities between the underworld journeys of Stranger Things and Game of Thrones. Dark gray, labyrinthian tunnels filled with tentacle roots reaching out to grab you and pull you into the walls, tunnels leading to mysterious hive mind intelligences with connections to the land of the dead, the Upside Down in the case of Stranger Things, and the caverns beneath the great weirwood tree north of the wall in A Song of Ice and Fire. And it all tied in with a 10-year-old dream from a Jack Skellington magician. Now, because of the weirwood trees and a tremendous amount of the mythology from Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire are based on Norse mythology and the world Ashik Drazel, I assumed there would be some interesting correlating imagery in Thor Ragnarok to amuse myself with, and I was not disappointed. But what really struck me about Thor Ragnarok, the first thing to let me know that the Sync Storm was truly on, was the dark statue of the horn god Loki, brother of Thor, on prominent display in the city of Asgard, which he had just conquered. This blew me away because, in addition to the long Synchronicity stream I was already writing, I had just gone very deep down a rabbit hole on the subject of horn gods, nature spirits, Cernunnos, Ishtar, succubi and incubi, and cosplayers dressed as Loki. So seeing such prominent horn god imagery right there from the beginning, right there along with the Norse gods who are already syncing with my Halloween vibes and videos, was very exciting for me. And even more exciting when the horn god showed up in Justice League as well. So exciting that I knew I had to make another video. Thor Ragnarok and Justice League, released only 2 weeks apart from each other, are two films about ancient mythic cities representing the foundations of our culture and society being invaded and destroyed by horned gods representing something significantly wilder, something older and newer at the same time, a rebellious, revolutionary energy rising everywhere around us. In Thor Ragnarok, Thor finds Asgard conquered by his brother Loki via trickery. Thor easily takes Asgard back, only for it to be conquered again by the horned goddess Hela, daughter of Odin and sister of Thor and Loki, a winter Galadriel, ruler of the ice realm Nephilim. Hela conquers Asgard with ease, destroying all illusions of its political history in the process, revealing Odin himself to be a horned god. And I can't help but think of the roots of the weirwood tree flowing through Bloodraven when I see this image. In the final battle, Surtur, horned god of the fire realm Muspel, is unleashed upon Asgard by Thor and Loki, bringing about Ragnarok, the destruction of Asgard, and the evolution, awakening, ascension, liberation of his people. In Justice League, it is the ancient mythic cities of Atlantis and Themyscira, which are invaded by the horned god Steppenwolf, servant of Darkseid, who seeks to recreate Darkseid's world of apocalypse on Earth. And there are even more synchronicities happening. Thor's hammer is destroyed in Ragnarok. And in Justice League, so is Steppenwolf's axe. In both films, we see the horned god do battle with all-female armies. The Valkyries in Thor, and the Amazonians in Justice League. And both gods fight with armies of fallen soldiers that they've turned to their side. In both films, the horned god is battled by a hero with the power of lightning, Thor and Flash, and by a hero with one eye, Thor and Cyborg. In both films, the hero loses an eye, and gains visions from those lost eyes. Thor has visions of his father, Odin, the Allfather. And Cyborg is able to see with the divine cyber vision of the Mother Box, connecting us to all things, connecting us to the source, the divine energy beyond the wall. In Norse mythology, Odin took out his own eye and cast it into the world beyond, into the well the god of wisdom drinks from, to see into that world, to gain omniscience and visions. And this tradition continues in modern literature, with a lost eye representing insight, mystery, and enlightenment. It is essentially a Norse-European version of the Eastern Third Eye, and both of these are perfectly balanced with Cyborg, who has both lost one eye and gained a third. The third eye is blue, like the color of Thor and Flash's lightning, while the eye representing his lost eye is red, symbolizing the Eye of Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Hal is an AI, a mysterious consciousness in service of the Empire which must be defeated and transcended before our hero can ascend to the higher dimensions beyond. In Thor, Ragnarok, and Justice League, the Eye of Hal has been co-opted by the Revolution against the Empire. In Justice League, the Eye of Hal has become the Eye of Cyborg, and in Thor, Ragnarok, we see the eye and the weapons of the gladiators rebelling against the Grandmaster. There are three symbols I tend to look for in movies, due primarily to my love of synchronistic videos and Lost. The Eye of Hal, the sinkhole, and the blue beam of light to the stars. As seen in Lost, Tron and Tron 2, the Cloverfield Paradox, Bully, This Is the End, and most alien abduction scenes. So it was fantastic to see that here as the new god's version of the boom tube, which is essentially a very fast personal Stargate. And the Rainbow Bridge of the Asgardians seems to have some boom tube qualities to it as well. And of course, the sinkholes themselves are stargates in their own way. And speaking of synchronicities and stargates, isn't it interesting that Jason Momoa, who we see here in Atlantis where Stargate just opened, was actually one of the stars of Stargate Atlantis?
You know, we could be a team. You could be my sidekick.
Sidekick.
Yeah, it'd be like Batman and Ronan. Have a nice ring to it.
Yeah, you keep eating like that, it's more like a fat man.
The Eye of Hal in the hands of the revolutionary good is an interesting image to see repeated so frequently, and it flows perfectly into the most surprising and anti-establishment theme of Justice League and Thor, that of indigenous revolution and decolonization. Thor Ragnarok was directed by Jewish and Maori activist and filmmaker Taika Waititi, who made sure to include as much of an indigenous influence on the film as possible. From the cast and crew, to the art direction and story, to the ceremonies performed with the native locals whose land the film was made on. Waititi has wonderfully and subversively awakened a revolutionary flame in Thor's heart, opening a door to a world of imagination that this planet has not seen enough of, and connecting Thor to something deeper in himself and all of us, from before the Empire colonized his stories. And to me, the most important image in this film is Thor and Valkyrie flying a spaceship based on the Aboriginal flag from a planet of displaced peoples which they had just united in revolution to the Rainbow Bridge of Asgard to save the mythic city by destroying it. And the gods themselves become wanderers. One with the people, finally able to see through their eyes. Meanwhile, in Justice League, we have the mythic underwater city of Atlantis, where the new aquatic fulfillment of ancient and mystic Arthurian legend has been unveiled as Native American and Native Hawaiian Jason Momoa. This is an astonishingly revolutionary choice to play this character. It is a mythic ascension with fantastic political implications, especially at a time when the energy of native resistance to colonization has been burning in the hearts of so many across the world. Jason Momoa, Aquaman, Arthur, was a vocal supporter of the No DAPL movement, the First Nations protest against the pipelines, and can be seen here with the rest of the Justice League calling on you, me, and everyone else in the world to join the cause. Jason Momoa credits The Flash, Ezra Miller, who actually traveled to their camp during the protest, with opening his eyes to the resistance at Standing Rock in the battle against the Black Snake. Another actor who joined the revolution was Mark Ruffalo, the Incredible Hulk, who in many ways became one of the spokesmen for the protests. The Justice League and the Avengers both stood with the heroes of Standing Rock against the privatized armies of oil and empire, who ignited revolution and way of thinking that swept across the world in our hearts and which we absolutely need to keep alive.
I'm Samuel L. Jackson, and I acknowledge the first peoples of America. I stand for their right to clean water. And today, I stand with Standing Rock. Go to standwithstandingrock.net to take action.
The theme of decolonization can actually be traced further back in the DCU movies, with films like Wonder Woman, in which Wonder Woman leads a team of freedom fighters, Samir from Morocco, Charlie from Scotland, and Chief Nappy of the Blackfoot to the American First Nations, each representing a culture which has experienced European colonization.
The last war took everything from my people. We have nothing left. At least here, I'm free.
Who took that from your people?
His people.
They joined together with Wonder Woman to defeat the God of War, who it turns out has been living simply as a bureaucrat in the British Imperial War Cabinet.
strange thunder.
This same wave of revolutionary energy can be seen flowing through the multitude of X-Men universes as well, particularly in the ABC family series The Gifted. The mutant freedom fighters in The Gifted are led by Apache John Proudstar, Thunderbird, the last of the true X-Men, the last to have studied under Professor Xavier, and the incredible Polaris, daughter of Magneto, who we see here going from black to green, just as Hela goes from black to green herself. Together, Proudstar and Polaris lead the mutant oppressed against the United States government and its Sentinel program, which is essentially the X-Universe's version of ICE, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Fuck ICE. One more fantastically fun fact that I did not know until I started making this video. The Horn God destroying Asgard, while voiced by the amazing Clancy Brown, was motion captured by none other than Thor's director Taika Waititi himself. So this is literally an indigenous activist smashing the long co-opted warrior heaven of the imperialists. This is literally an indigenous activist smashing an Asgard to bring about Ragnarok, destroying the old empire to set us all free, even the gods. As far as personal synchronicities go, my previous video to this one was about the similarities between the underworld journeys in Game of Thrones and Stranger Things. Labyrinthian gray tunnels, roots reaching out like tentacles, pulling people onto walls. A hive mind with connections to the afterlife at its center. And I wasn't expecting to find any more connections to any of this. But then I saw the Justice League entering this gray tunnel into a nuclear plant, down to its center where the mother boxes are, connecting us to the source, connecting us to the center of all things. deep down where it looks like a xenomorph queen's lair from Aliens. Another series referenced by Stranger Things where people are pulled into the walls. And I thought that surely the Synchronicities would end here. But then, just a few moments later, we have this appearing in the sky. An entity looking almost identical to the Mind Flayer from Stranger Things 2. What is going on? What is this thing? Why is this strange image appearing in a movie and a TV series released just one day apart from each other? Both weirdly tree related, both are filling a red sky, both representing hive minds in the afterlife. I talked about roots reaching out like tentacles, and here we have Batman literally racing against giant tentacle roots in the Batmobile. What is Steppenwolf doing exactly? Did his plan to recreate Apocalypse with his red sky like the upside down of Stranger Things center around growing a giant tree that feeds on radiation? A plan which ended up re-greening the world around it and bringing about some sort of super Christmas? Two films released 2 weeks apart about horned gods destroying ancient mythic cities which had long since been appropriated by the Empire. Two films with hidden themes of indigenous mythologies finally reaching us. Two films about revolution by creators who spoke out for the rebels of Standing Rock, who had people at Standing Rock. Two films about people rising up from the darkness to free each other and make a better world. And all part of the strange synchwave I've been writing. But I'm sure this will be the end of it, right? I'm sure there will be no further association of horned gods, strange mysticism, and the revolution after this. Right?
You're not telling me that's vibranium too, huh?
No, I'm just feeling it.
Right? Steppenwolf and Surtur both leave their horned helmets behind to be picked up by anyone. By Thor, by Batman, by Wonder Woman, by the audience. They leave their helmets behind to be picked up by you and me. Let's grab it.
What do you think those two red lines on his face are? Is there's a big 11?
That, oh.
I've got
11.